Bordenhead.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I have a series of very short questions on the Columbia River entitlement. My first question, Honourable Chair, through you to the Minister, is how much power is British Columbia entitled to under the Columbia River entitlement?
Minister.
So the Columbia River Treaty is under the purview of the Minister for Children and Family Development. It's not under this ministry, unfortunately.
Member.
This line of questioning is very germane to the topic at hand, Honourable Speaker, because I would suggest that the Minister should be able to answer this question, because the amount of power that British Columbia is able to get under the Columbia River entitlement is exactly the same, almost precisely the same as the amount that Site C would provide. So my question then to the Minister through you is, how much is British Columbia getting, on average, from electricity sold to the U.S. spot market that could otherwise come to BC under the Columbia River entitlement?
Minister.
$125 million at current market prices.
Member.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. What does that translate in terms of per kilowatt hour or per megawatt hour in terms of costs that is being sold?
Member.
I didn't mean this question to take so long. It was almost a rhetorical question, Honourable Chair, because the answer is about $40 per megawatt hour, and that calculation is done very, very quickly. The reason why I wanted to ask that question is I would have hoped that the Minister would be on top of this file, because $40 per megawatt hour, Honourable Speaker, is less than half what the projected future cost. The revenues as being brought to the province are $127 million a year. Why is it, Honourable Speaker, through you to the Chair, is BC Hydro not considering power available under the Columbia River entitlement to meet this hypothetical demand in either the low or medium forecast?
Minister.
Sorry I was taking so long. There's no need to be antagonistic. I was just trying to get some further information to provide to the member in reference to his question. He doesn't want that, so okay. The reason why BC Hydro isn't looking at the Columbia River entitlement is partly that the Columbia River Treaty is up for renegotiation. I would hope that the member would know that as a Columbia Basin resident. It's one of the things that we've been working on since well before 2014, when the first opportunity to give notice for renegotiation, because the treaty comes to an end at 2024, is one of the reasons that we're not able to ensure that it's with any certainty. And I see the member from Kootenay West or Kootenay East. He will know this as well. Any Kootenay MLA will know this and know what's going on presently with the Columbia River Treaty.
Member.
Frankly, Honourable Chair, I find that answer quite remarkable. Of course, I'm aware about the Columbia River Treaty, and Site C is not to be built any time before 2024. I mean, it'll be 2021 before that's built. The reality is there is power available today, firm power to the amount available for Site C for any interim costs. So my follow-up question to the Minister is this: why is it that we have about 170 megawatts, or 117, I believe it is, in the standing offer program that's gone through, and there's no call for power? Why is it that BC Hydro did not put a call out for power at 10 cents a kilowatt hour and accepting those applications in the standing offer program? Because we know that the price of Site C, as noticed by the BCUC, and the ongoing tension cracks that we're seeing, is going to come in higher than that. Why was no call for power at 10 cents per kilowatt hour issued?
Minister.
Thank you. So first, the standing offer program and calls for power were different types of programs. So the call for power, BC Hydro did calls for power in 2003, 2006, 2008. After the last one, their recommendation to the previous government was to go forward with Site C rather than another call for power, and their rationale at the time was that BC needed more firm power, not more intermittent power, and that intermittent power was being generated at a higher cost than what BC Hydro felt they could do in terms of constructing Site C. So that's the reason why there hasn't been a call for power since then. But the member will note that this government took action in terms of bringing Site C through the BC Utilities Commission, as that decision to move forward without a review by the BC Utilities Commission was done by the previous government, not ours.
Member.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I correct my previous statement. Is 137 megawatts in the standing offer program ready to go. Ready to go, Honourable Speaker, including 15 megawatts of an amazing solar facility by Rocky Mountain Solar in the Cranbrook area, ready to go. On private land, with support of the local community, transmissions lines through the property, ready to go. Scalable to 50 megawatts, give them a price. They'll deliver. We have examples of pumped storage on Vancouver Island, in the Kootenays as well. ready to go, Honourable Chair. But again, BC Hydro is not bringing them into the fold. It's not bringing them into the fold. So my question to the minister is this. In light of the fact that we have the BCUC, why are you not making a decision today to terminate Site C? Because for 4 years now, the BC Greens have pointed out the fiscal folly of moving down this path solely to deliver to below-market contracts that were signed with LNG proponents that have left British Columbia. Why, based on all the evidence, are we kicking the can down the road until December when a decision could have been made in May, it could have been made in June, it could have been made in September, and it could be made today?
Minister.
I just wanted to ask my staff a quick question. The member brought up there's pump storage, and I interpreted that to mean pump storage that is active in the Kootenays, and that was something I wasn't aware of going on, and the reason why I wasn't aware of it is because it's actually not taking place in the Kootenays. There may be proposals that are currently being developed by some entrepreneurial individuals, but in terms of it actually existing right now, it doesn't. So I was just curious about that. To answer the member's question about why isn't a decision being made today, why wasn't a decision being made in May or in June, I think looking back in terms of what has happened over the summer, the member was very active in it, so I think he knows the answer to those particular timelines. And in terms of today, well, we've been very clear with our process is that this is, we've sent things to the BC Utilities Commission as we committed as we committed to the electorate that we would do, as we committed that we would do in our supply agreement with the member and other members of the Green Party, and that process has now finalized in terms of the BCUC's report on November 1st. And as we've said, to answer the member's question, is that we have to do our due diligence. We have to provide appropriate analysis of the BC Utilities Commission report. We have to do that due diligence, and that we have to take the time appropriate to do so. And so we are doing that. That being said, we also recognize that there is a lot of uncertainty for people. I can absolutely empathize with people in the north, and I know members opposite in the BC Liberal Caucus are representing their interests very well in terms of wanting to make sure that a decision is done in a timely manner, and that's why we've committed to doing that by the end of this calendar year.